Well, hello, everybody. I'm so happy this afternoon because I'm with my good friend, Sarah. And if you've watched any of my other Facebook Live videos or listened to any podcasts, Sarah's pretty much one of my favorite guests on the show. We live 5 hours apart, though. So this afternoon, we are just going to do somewhat of a marathon of Facebook Live videos.
Because we both like to talk so much.
We do. And we have so many good topics that we actually just talked for 2 hours before even starting this. But we're going to talk first. I'm really excited. So if you've been following along on Sunshine Parenting on my blog posts and on my Facebook Live video from January, something that I'm doing this year is I'm calling it One Simple Thing. And the idea is not to overwhelm yourself with a whole bunch of things that you want to do, but just each month trying just one little simple thing that you can do to just help your family be a little happier, a little more connected, just have a better year this year is basically the idea. So last month, my tip was about just having a really short daily family sharing activity. So you can read about that if you look back on my post from January 1st. This month in February, I published a blog post. I think I published it on Wednesday. And it's about, the title of the post was 10 Solutions for Chaotic Mornings. And the reason I decided to make that this month's topic is I did a questionnaire, and thank you to those of you who answered it. But one of my questions was, what is the most chaotic kind of, let's just call it the worst part of the day for your family? And 67% of you said that mornings were chaotic. And I think that's really pretty typical. There's a lot that has to get done in the morning, and it's kind of a crazy time. So I thought, in addition to, you could read the blog post with these 10 solutions that I came up with, but Sarah has had lots of experience raising her kids. So I'm going to have Sarah introduce herself. And then we're going to just kind of talk about mornings. And if you have good ideas for mornings, whether you're watching this live or later on, we'd love for you to comment, because other people can learn from you too. There's so many different ways. And like I say, with all things, I would always recommend just trying one. You don't need to redo everything, but maybe there's something that you can gather from our time and from listening to us or reading the blog post that just could make just a small change that could make a difference in how your family's feeling in the morning. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about your family and how your mornings have been historically and what they're like now and what your experience about. First, tell us how old all your kids are now.
Okay. I have a sophomore in college. He is 20. I have a senior in high school who just turned 18. And my little one, my daughter, just turned 14 the day before yesterday. So I have an 8th grader too.
And what you just started mentioning, I asked you about mornings to get you thinking about it. Tell me about kind of your mornings or any things that you discovered or changes you made in your mornings.
Well, sure. Well, when my kids were younger, mornings are hectic. One of them slows the other ones down. There's so many details, so many things to take to school. Who's driving? Is it me? Once the kids started driving, yikes. All my treasures in that one car driving away from me, that's kind of rattles you a little bit. But over the years, I am proud to say that I have learned from my mistakes. And I think the 3 things that helped make our mornings better, and still do now. I still abide by these. The first one is I processed with a friend, why are mornings so hectic? We end up getting in the car, we're barking at each other, drop them off. It's just not how I wanted them to start the day. And we resolved that we would name one thing that made the morning hard. Did one of my kids eat so slowly? Did one of my kids not know what to wear? Did one of my children take too long of a shower? We just picked one thing and brainstormed how to solve that one thing. So for my child who eats so slowly, we just turned his breakfast into a liquid breakfast. A smoothie or a protein shake went down so much quicker than toast and eggs.
Oh, right.
And that saved 8 to 10 minutes, and that's all we needed.
Right.
If it was the shower thing, well, shower the night before. I know he likes to shower in the morning because his hair's fluffier, but but you know what? That doesn't work. So you got to shower the night before. So solving one little problem, and they are fabulous about brainstorming on the solution.
So that's what I was wondering. So with your kids, did you ask them, say, hey, we're having this problem, what are your ideas?
Yes, and some of them weren't always really helpful, but at least they kind of felt like they were in on it. Now, as teens, they always can solve their own problem. But,
Right.
at 8 or 9, what's the deal with this?
Right.
And we kind of came to a resolution. So that was really helpful. The second thing, and I didn't mention this to you yet, was sometimes I needed to let them have a natural consequence. If they're tardy so many times, they actually get to go to detention. And once my oldest son had lunch detention for too many tardies, that just solved the problem. He didn't like lunch detention. But instead of me being the one barking at him and getting him in on time, once he had that one detention, which, didn't ruin his life and didn't go on his permanent record.
Okay, but wait, I have a question about that. So
Yeah.
what happens when, like, you have one kid who's making the other ones late? What about did the other kids get tardies too? How does that work?
That's a great question. And it kind of depends. Sometimes if both my husband and I were leaving for the office at the same time, I took the early kids and he taught the late kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but when you've got one that's making the others late, that's really a challenge.
Right.
The constant reminding of, did you remember your water bottle? Did you remember your jacket? Letting your kids go to school without their jacket, just 2 days and they freeze. They do not forget their jacket anymore.
Right.
So sometimes the logical consequence, the natural consequence, solved the problem, and I didn't have to be the one.
Good. So
And
good.
then the most recent change I made was about 3 years ago. And the drive to school used to be, now, what about that test? Did you study enough? And what about this? And don't forget to tell your teacher this. And by the time I got my children to school, they were so riled up and anxious because I had grilled them.
It's like, good morning.
Yeah, all the way to school. Sometimes my middle son went and said, Mom, can you just say good morning? He said that one Thanksgiving when I woke him up with his list of chores before Thanksgiving dinner.
We learned a lot from our kids.
Thank goodness. So, gosh, if my drive to school can be a blessing to them instead.
Right.
A funny story of when I was in their grade. A blessing. I saw this in you yesterday. I could not have been more proud about how you helped each other. Hey, I'm praying for you today that this one thing would make a difference. I just want you to know how much I like you. You make me so proud to be your mom. Have a good day. I love you. What a different conversation then. I can't believe you didn't get your laundry done this time. It's been sitting on the living room floor for 3 days. Morning is not the time to dump that.
I know.
They have so much challenge already and pressure at school. How can I fuel them?
Right.
And that has been most recent change and actually a really good one.
Oh, so good.
We have sweet drives now.
Right. So good. Yeah. That was one of my tips was, I can't remember my exact words, but basically just the worst feeling I think that I remember is just when, the parting words is like the kids slamming the garage door because I don't know, something went wrong or, it's just kind of an icky feeling to start the day, feeling like you just did not have, you didn't leave on a positive note.
Right.
And so that was one of my things, just figure out how to, first of all, the first thing that you make the first thing like pleasant.
Yes.
So for me, like I just have right now 2 teenage boys still at home. They're 14 and 16. And I just tell them that, every morning I need a hug. It's not for you, it's for me. And so first thing
That's
is
awesome.
a hug and good morning and, how'd you sleep? And just trying to like start slow and, and that is just, it's a little thing, but instead of, oh, we're late or, oh, soccer or, it's just like start with just the greeting. And then same thing, just, you know what, it's too late to figure out something from homework anyway, when you have 20 minutes and you're leaving for school. So just try to keep it positive.
Right.
The
at
conversation.
At that point. Yeah.
That's so good. So what else? I like the breakfast thing was really good. One of the ideas that I put in here is I'm more of a smoothie kind of person in the morning too. I have trouble just like eating first thing. I'm like a coffee person.
A lot of stomachs don't wake up right off, even though it's such an important time to get some nutrition in you. Yes.
So one of the things that, my kids, first of all, we went to all self-serve breakfast many years ago. And I remember one of the vivid memories I have is when my oldest daughter was 4 and, she was just going to preschool at the time, but she loved doing things for herself. So I put milk in one of those liquid little, it was probably a 2-cup liquid thing, filled a cup full on the bottom shelf in the refrigerator.
Oh, brilliant.
And so she could get herself her bowl of cereal. And you should have just seen her, walking over to get her bowl. And so I'd be drinking my coffee and she'd get her cereal and her that pour them, and it was just so cute. But it was a really good example, and I kind of got away from it because, you know, as the kids got older and they were like, you know, late in the morning. So then I was like chopping fruit and trying to like put in bagels and kind of running around. And my husband goes, "What happened? We used to be this family where you were like teaching a 4-year-old to get their own cereal, and now where have we gone?" We've like, anyway. So a couple years ago, I just went back to, you know what? Everyone just has their own taste in the morning. We have our smoothies, we have bagels available. There's cereal. You can make an egg, you know, whatever. And so I'm there, but I just actually kind of sit down with my coffee. So I'm
That's
like,
brilliant.
You know, we can talk if people want to talk, but I thought of something else. They don't like to make anything in the morning, and smoothies, you can actually put everything in it except for the frozen thing. So whether it's, you're going to put ice cubes in or frozen fruit
strawberries,
or something,
right?
And have the smoothie, have them make their ingredients of their smoothie and stick it in the refrigerator, so that in the morning, all they have to do is just throw in the frozen part and make it. And that's another thing. If people are okay with it, I think taking things in the car, it's okay with me. It's kind of gross. Like if the smoothie cup is in there, but for some kids, especially those of them who are not morning people, and if high school or they're getting older and school starting early, I'm also fine with a to-go breakfast. Like,
well, especially if you have a drive. We live about half a mile from school, so we don't have the time.
Oh, we have lots of time.
But for those of us who drive 15 or 20 minutes, morning the car is a great time to drive, or a great time to eat. And I think that's fine. And then, you know, also they get to practice emptying out the car after the day. And that's not a bad thing.
Crust off the smoothie cup.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when we moved into this house, actually, my kids were very little. We've lived here a long time. And I made the bottom drawer. One of the bottom drawers in the kitchen has plastic bowls, plastic cups, plastic plates, so that they could make self-serve, right? Well, it's been 10 years, and that drawer of plastic items is still there. And my 6'5" son still bends down to the bottom drawer to get a cereal bowl and a little cup for orange juice. Cute. And when I see it, it just cracks me up. But we're not changing the drawer.
It's a good habit. He's not doing it himself, so it's fine. But I think the main thing is anything that you can do for yourself to make the morning more peaceful. I know for me, I used to definitely be more of a night person, and I've shifted myself, honestly. I get up earlier because I love having just like quiet time in the morning before everyone else is up, and just having my coffee, so that when my kids do like wake up, I'm ready to give them a hug.
In a peaceful place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful for me, is just like starting the day. And it just, as we know, with all things with our kids, if we're in a good state of mind, then we help them. So even if the little thing that you do is just kind of get yourself in a more peaceful place, even that could change the whole kind of feeling in the morning.
We are the thermostats to the house. You know, we change the temperature, as it were. And sometimes we're acting like the thermometer. We're just telling them it's crazy in here, but we have the power to bring it back down.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard that analogy before, or metaphor.
I use it with my camp counselors.
It's so good. Yeah, it's really good. And then it makes me, you know, when I always think about my head exploding, it's like a volcano. That's when like the thermometer has like exploded.
Right. But you are a thermostat. Yes. We can be thermostats.
Oh my gosh. So just bringing it down.
Yeah, bring it back down. Cool it down.
So good. Yeah. So anyway, I hope some of these tips have been helpful. And if your mornings are already peaceful, awesome.
Give us tips.
Yeah. Share your ideas. If there's something that we didn't cover, like I said, there's a few other ideas in my blog post, but it's always great if you share anything that you've tried that's helped just make your mornings more peaceful, because really also just if we start our day in just a good state of mind and feeling connected and like just good, I think it just makes our whole day a lot better.
Yes.
So you think?
Yes.
So thank you all for listening to this one simple thing for February. And please let us know how it goes. If you make any little small changes that end up leading to some good things for your family. And thanks for listening. And Sarah and I will definitely be back just momentarily with another topic for you. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.